Hermantown Citizens Acting for Responsible Education Committee, CARE, is convinced the $49 million proposal on the ballot this Tuesday is a poor financial example for our kids, was started and is being driven by people not involved in education, and is an extreme example of taxpayer waste. But we recognize that you may not yet be so convinced. Please watch this short video where we present evidence, often in proponents' own words on video, to prove that most voters are being manipulated and not told the truth. After viewing, if you agree we need a better alternative, then please join us and vote no. By the way, some of the best singers are toward the end. Did our Hermantown school building proposal come up after several years of our educators raising concerns that our children's educational needs were not being met due to inadequate facilities? Watch the following and decide for yourself.
All right, just to kind of make sure we put this in perspective, I think most of you know this, but the Advanced Hermantown group through Hermantown, in Hermantown, did research with the community to find out what's important to our community, what are our priorities going forward, what do we want Hermantown to look like in 2020, for example. And in doing that research, one of the things that did come through from the citizens was the need to look at public school facilities.
Advanced Hermantown started this? Wait a minute. Their primary mission isn't the educational welfare of our children. Why weren't our educators the first to bring up any such need? Now, about this research, shouldn't we know things like what questions were asked, and how many citizens were surveyed, and who chose the citizens to be surveyed? Further, is it possible the questions could have been designed to arrive at predetermined outcomes?
So, as an extension of that, the Hermantown school system has hired Johnson Control to do research.
Think about that. The company doing the research on our school facility needs is the same one that actively profits from building such schools across Minnesota. How objective can they be? When it comes to research, here's some that CARE did. Now, we'll be the first to admit that it is not scientific, but you still may want to consider it before you vote. Last August, we sent a flyer to every voting household in the district, asking voters to contact the Minnesota Department of Education with their thoughts on the $49 million Hermantown school plan, which is now on our ballot. Apparently, some of you did, because state official Audrey Baumstead wrote us on September 5 and said, the emails have been primarily con. Con means opposed. The emails to the state officials from the people of Hermantown have primarily opposed this proposal that's now on our ballot. Now, back to their research.
We are here today to learn what that research was all about, what the message was that was told by the citizens and through the demographic research. Now, decisions can only be made if you have proper information.
Information is only as proper as are those who compile it and then interpret it. And is this the same information that ultimately led to the $49 million proposal on our ballot now? Jeff Schultz of Johnson Controls is then introduced to those gathered.
I'm going to go rather quickly. This information has been shared at several different community meetings.
Hold on here. Duluth School Board member Art Johnston wrote in March of 2008 that Jeff Schultz was JCI's front engineer on Duluth's controversial Red Plan and is not a licensed professional engineer in Minnesota. Hermantown voters need to find out if Schultz ever received an engineering license or if he's just JCI's marketing representative, their pitchman. Let's put this in perspective. The same frontman from JCI who headed up the Red Plan mess in Duluth is the one who oversaw the creation of our $49 million plan. We noticed the school board only terminated the contract with Johnson Controls after our flyer exposed them to the community. But for purposes of this vote, who cares they were terminated? As this $49 million plan is all JCI's, and that is reason enough to vote no on this proposal. Now listen carefully to Schultz's brief comment about their community ideation meetings.
Ideation is really helping to get a sense of the community. I've learned an awful lot about the Hermantown community from participating in all the ideation inputs that.
These meetings helped Johnson Controls get a sense of the community, and they learned an awful lot about us. Was this really a facilities assessment? As we see it, taxpayers pay Johnson Controls $47,000 to do market research on the citizens of Hermantown. From this, they could learn the best way to sell it to us.
Our assessments, as Brad talked about, we have 3 different assessments that we're doing for the district. Some pictures of many different groups that we met with.
Now, one of the flyers from the proponents said, "Please help ensure Hermantown students are learning in an environment that is safe and secure." Doesn't this imply their research found that our children don't feel safe, and that $49 million would go a long way toward improving that? Well, listen to what Johnson Controls actually found.
We met with the school board administrative teams. We met with students. The students was fantastic. Very, very bright students. One of the things we heard from students, or that we didn't hear from students, I thought was very, very interesting, is safety. Students feel very safe at school. Safety concerns really never came up.
No other evidence of safety issues has been brought up by local law enforcement or school officials. So just who interpreted the research on the students' response on school safety that was later communicated to voters in the proponent's flyer? Hermantown Superintendent Brad Johnson was at the same Chamber of Commerce meeting last December with Johnson Controls. Does he tell us who might be behind this miscommunication piece here?
But I do want to thank Natalie and her group with Advance Hermantown, a group of citizens who have got together to help us with our communications piece.
Oh, we're back to the people at Advance Hermantown. HCARE wonders if school officials are leading on this proposal or really just taking orders from others. Next, with their economic futures on the line, what did Johnson Controls find the kids wanted most?
Students, we had the students, they put together and went through an exercise where they could put down anything and everything that they want to fix, or redo, or make better, or improve within their schools. So here's a huge list, all put together by the kids, not by us, by the kids. And then they got to rank them. And the kids at lunch, they got all the sticky dots on, so many dots, and every kid said thank you for the sticky dots, by the very polite kids. But they got to vote themselves on whatever they thought was the most important thing for them, okay, to make their school a better place. Their number one answer was a turf football field. The big wish of the kids, right? The one thing that they love to have.
Is this where the turf football field idea came from? But wait, kids often don't know of the increased knee injury rates nor the water and bacteria problems that often come with turf fields. But now, let's get down to some of the more basic issues. So many are speaking about Hermantown's population growth. Even Johnson Controls is.
Here's quiz time. Make sure you're paying attention in class. Okay? Question. This is your census, the demographic information from the census. And what we did, we took the city of Hermantown, the entire Greenberg Township, and just 50% of Kenosha. And just sort of about 50%, we don't know exactly 50% number of people in the census we just split. But this shows you how the community has grown. Okay, so the community served by the district has grown from about 9,600 people to 11,008. Okay, so you've had 23% growth over a 10-year period.
23% growth? Sounds impressive at first. But listen to his next and far more important quiz question.
So question is, what's the number of percentage of growth of children from ages 5 to 19 that you had back then? I'll ask for number of kids. Number of kids instead of a percentage. What's the number of kids that have grown with 23% growth as a whole? How many kids? How many kids?
The audience offered several different answers. Then Schultz stated the growth in the number of kids who live in the Hermantown School District over this recent 10-year period.
One student, you gained one student. I should say student. One child, ages 5 to 19. Okay? One child. 44 people, 2%. These are the age of people having children, right? Or parents, the age of people having children. Right? And look at, whoa, there's your growth, right? There's your big growth right there. 71% growth in that age demographic. Keep going. And that's typical, that's right.
Whoa is right. Hermantown's population growth is among people who are done having their children. We have no growth in the number of school-age children needing more classroom space. But have proponents told you this? With no growth in Hermantown school-age children, what else could be driving the demographic need here? Consider Superintendent Johnson's comments.
What happened in the last few years around us, and if you look, a lot of our students that we're picking up through open enrollment come through here. They put a brand new Piedmont school is right there, and a new middle school now is going in here. And you'll see later that we're starting to lose students to Edison. Edison, we get a lot of students through here. Edison put their brand new school there. So if you look at what is happening around us, those schools were strategically remodeled and left there or rebuilt and put there to capture their students.
With Jeff Schultz working both sides of the school boundaries, is he now trying to entice us into an open enrollment battle with Duluth, with Johnson Controls being the primary winner? Schultz then summarized the open enrollment discussion with these forecasts for Hermantown.
This is projections forward, and there's three. The demographer guys said, this whole open enrollment thing, which way is it going to go? Is it trending? Is it a 2-year trend? Is it a 10-year trend? If indeed you continue to get about 20 kids new every year, you're on the red line. If the last couple of years you got about 10 new kids per year on the kindergarten levels, if that continues, you're on the green line. And if you have no open enrollment at all, and you're going to start to approach the resident students, which is projected to slightly go up. Okay? So you're in here somewhere, roughly 1,800 to 2,000 kids projected forward.
Is JCI's school proposal that we're voting on set up to capture that red line of open enrollment students to keep our enrollment going up? If so, who's supposed to repay this $49 million of debt? If so, why should the parents of these children get to enjoy the benefits of our new facilities without having to help pay for it with their own property taxes? That's just not fair. But then one of the most important questions of all was asked by Chamber Director Lundstrom. Want to see the definition of a bumbling answer? Keep watching.
The question I have is this, and I understand the demographics of competing communities and competing for students, and there's ebb and flow and the honeymoon with the new schools and all that. I understand that, and that's the reality of budgets. But what about the performance of our students? Where are we at with that? Where are we trending compared to state levels, and how are we doing on what we're supposed to be doing, what our real mission is about?
And we have all that, in the office.
I just think it's an important piece of the puzzle.
We have all of that at the office, says Brad Johnson. What? We are now convinced that this project was never started by educators who are concerned that our poor facilities are holding back our children.
Great impact. Make sure that gets down on this, because you're right. How does that get to be a piece of it?
Make sure that gets down on here, the response sheet, because you're right, says the man from Johnson Controls. By his bumbling response and request for Lundstrom to ask them to address their core mission, their academics, in future meetings, it is clear to HCARE that the proponents thought so little about the academic need for new facilities that they didn't care to even bring such data to the meeting, let alone make it the first priority of their research. We trust it is now clear to you, as it is to HCARE, that this proposal was never about the kids of Hermantown and their academic excellence. It is way too expensive and needs to be scrapped, and the school board needs to start over. And to accomplish this, join us Tuesday, November 5, and vote no on the $49 million Hermantown bond referendum. And take your family and friends with you to the polls. Each no vote is going to be crucial. Thank you for watching. And make sure to post the link to this video on your Facebook page and share it with your friends and family.